I'm a big fan of Godzilla, if you couldn't tell. I love Godzilla. I've adored him since I first watched the 2014 movie. Design and his appeal is fascinating, and I love, you know, I'm a guy. I am a man, and man brain like big things that go boom, and big things that go boom. So, and I think that's the appeal of Godzilla. At the end of the day, when it comes to like the simplest things. Again, Godzilla is a very big metaphor for a lot of things like nuclear warfare and, you know, tyranny and stuff like that. And I had yet to watch anything outside the U.S. Godzilla movies, not for lack of interest, but for more lack of trying. And I wanted to start going through them, and that's why I'm making a video series to make it my job to watch these movies and now report to you how much I like them. And that starts with Godzilla 1954, the first Godzilla film. I don't want to bash this movie at all. I actually quite enjoyed the film. I'll be real with you. But I don't know if it's like in hindsight's 2020 or or if it was just that revolutionary. But this feels like a very generic sci-fi film to me. I'm not gonna remember the characters' names. I'm just really bad with names. Find this the anti-oxygen thing, and it's very like Frankenstein's monster, like, oh my god, we've done the. I find it a very basic sci-fi story throughout this whole film, but I do enjoy a lot of it. I think the intenseness and the very like monumental build-up to Godzilla is fantastically done. It's this very slow build-up. We spend like 30-45 minutes. I think it's more like 20 to 30 minutes, kind of like skirting around the idea of Godzilla and not really getting into it. But the moment we get into Godzilla, the moment we see Godzilla for the first time, which besides his feet, when we see his head, it's a little goofy, and I quite adore it. I think it's funny as hell. And I know it's not supposed to be funny, but seeing Godzilla's head for the first time in this film is hilarious. I can't not laugh at it. I think it's adorable. Maybe that's just my brain being like so like Godzilla up, where I think he's just a big puppy dog. But I am genuinely like surprised by some of the effects they were able to do in 1954, like the first Godzilla shot where like you have this guy in a suit behind this mountain setup, but then you have all these little people running away, and it's a weird. I don't know how they did that, and I'm not gonna look it up because I like the sense of wonder in movies. It's just really, really surprising they were able to do that back in 1954. Godzilla's attack on Tokyo is awesome. Again, there's some parts where I'm like, this is a little funny because like that's a Matchbox car that's flying across the floor. And again, sense of wonder, sense of like, hey, you gotta, take your mind out of it. But Godzilla 1954 is for the time period and what they accomplished at the time is great. I think it's fantastic. I think it did what it could do. And I don't really know if I want to ask more of that, because I think it's fantastic for this time period. I get why people were scared of the film when it first came out. Back in Japan, I think there was a story where where Godzilla attacks the movie theater and people thought they were actually going to die. I don't know if that's a hoax or not, but like if the hoax is that plausible, obviously people believe that Godzilla could be seen as that back in 1954. Again, we can talk about audiences, how dumb they are, but I think that Godzilla captures this sense of wonder and sense of terror that comes with nuclear weapons. And again, that's his big metaphor. Is I'm a nuclear weapon deterrent. Like we should stop making nuclear weapons. We should de-weaponize and disarm, whatever you want to call it. And that's the big plea when it comes to Godzilla. It's a propaganda film from the Japanese government. Which, yeah, you can see that throughout the whole film. You can see that, and they even talk about the war that was only like 9 years prior, and which is crazy that a government system can see something that happened 9 years ago and learn from it and be like, yes, we fucked up. Is that because they got bombed? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not the one to tell you that. That's a bigger historian to tell you that. I'm a history geek, but like, damn, I don't know what to tell you. And Godzilla being like this warning tale and this warning sign for humanity to be cautionary of what they can build, and that also being shown throughout the film with the mad scientist. Again, I'm not going to remember his name. I'll throw his name on screen. And his development of an anti-oxygen device is a fascinating development that they were able to make that parallel real quick and make it very apparent on yes, Godzilla is a nuclear arms metaphor, but also that this human building this anti-oxygen thing is also a warning thing for being wary of our own devices and our own creations that we can make. I think that's awesome. There's a love story in this as well. I think it's great. I think it's very by the numbers. It's very basic. It's very whatever. In the end, I think that they're a very cute couple. They obviously care for one another throughout the film, and I enjoyed it. I'm very big like rom-com guy. I love rom-coms, and if it's by the numbers, I'm probably gonna enjoy it because I just like romance. That's fun. The main archaeologist, whatever his name, or whatever, what's his title? I don't remember. Thoroughly enjoyable. This doesn't have a dub, obviously, and I don't really watch many things in sub when it comes to anime or other films. Like, I haven't watched a foreign film that wasn't Godzilla -1 in a long time. It's been a fucking minute. And I just enjoyed him, and it's like I love the quote from Bong Joon-ho, who just did Mickey 17. If you can get over the 1-inch barrier, you'll open up your world to a ton of other things. And I think that my experience here with watching this and still enjoying the story thoroughly, even though it's an older film and a foreign language film, I can still find a ton of enjoyment in this film. Godzilla 1954 is fantastic for its time. It's a little goofy nowadays, and I can enjoy the camp of it. I'm like I won't ever be like the Casablanca is the greatest film of all time. I really don't think that we hit the golden age of film until like at least the 80s, and a lot of the films before that were very experimental, and some of them are really bad. And a lot of the good films back then, like Godzilla, Hitchcock films and stuff like that, have a lot of camp to them, and I think that there's a sense of charm to them. And I think that's why Godzilla burst into a big franchise. I think it's at 34 films now, and it's got this sense of charm to it, as much as it is a metaphor, and a very important metaphor for nuclear warfare's disarmament, or whatever you want to call it. It has a sense of charm, camp, and overall heart to it. It's it's kind of hard to find in films nowadays. I wish we had more camp in our films. I think that camp is very important. I think it's film is supposed to be escapism at times. A lot of films like to talk about really important topics, and yes, they are needed, but there are also some films that desperately need camp, and we need camp in our lives, especially nowadays when things are really tough. And watching Godzilla was a really nice relief to me, actually, just because of the camp in it. Again, it's goofy, it's funny, but it's also really important. And I think Godzilla somehow manages to take off like a serious tone at the same time as leaning into the camp, and that's very hard to do with a lot of movies. And I think Godzilla really nails it, and I think it's quite impressive, actually. And I enjoyed it a lot. I think we can learn a lot from Godzilla, not only from the nuclear warfare disarmament thing, but also from a film perspective, that you don't always need to be all so serious. And I think a lot of films take one route or another. It's all serious, they're all camp, and are all funny. You can do a mixture of both, and I think a lot of films that do both are really good, and I think we need more of that. And I think Godzilla is just a nice template if you modernize it. Again, I have never watched another Godzilla film that outside the American ones besides Godzilla -1. So I'm really excited to get into a lot of these other films. I'm also really excited to get into the films where they go off the fucking deep end. I think of like Dancing Godzilla or the Godzilla who does like the mid-air kick. I'm very excited how do we get to that point. But at this point, I think Godzilla 1954 is an excellent blend of camp and serious tones.